Monarey Martinez.
Yes.
You're on Checkitow.
Thank you very much.
So you know where this comes from? Have you ever seen Scarface?
Yes, I have.
And Angel Salazar, who's also a comedian, he's the little guy going, check it out, check it out. So Cubans don't pronounce the T at the end.
Right.
And
And they
I'm
also
Cuban.
add S's to things.
Yeah, or take
Yeah.
them off where they're supposed to be. Now, we had an interesting introduction, right? Our a comedian friend, I don't even know if I should name him on the podcast.
Yes.
Okay, we'll leave his name out of it. A mutual, semi-controversial comedian friend of ours. I was looking for comics to be guests on the show. He recommended you. And he said, oh, and she's Latin or Latina, whatever. And then I reached out to you and you wanted to clarify.
Yeah.
So explain to me your take on what you think Latin, Latino, Latina, Hispanic means, and then what is your heritage connection to any of that?
For sure.
Yeah.
What I message you, because I always feel insecure because my grandpa's from Puerto Rico.
Okay.
So I guess I consider myself Hispanic. I don't even really know why some people say Hispanic and some people say Latin.
I'll explain.
To me, I thought it was Latin America. So like that would be Latin. And then if you weren't from Latin America, then you were Hispanic. But obviously I'm assuming I'm probably wrong. But yeah, my grandpa's from Puerto Rico. But my dad's half. My dad's Irish and Puerto Rican. And so half of my aunts and uncles look very brown and Puerto Rican. And then some of them, it's weird because like nobody looks pure Irish. Like they either look Puerto Rican with like some freckles, and then my dad, he's like brown, but my dad has like the same eyes as me, dark brown hair, so he looks mixed. But then my stepdad was from Mexico, and so he was from Mexico, but his father was Puerto Rican, but he was born in Mexico. And so when I was younger, I would go to like Spanish mass with him. And like any of like the basic Spanish that I know is through him. But yeah, I always feel insecure calling myself Puerto Rican or even it's my last name. Like I can't like lie too much. But I mean, not that I'm lying, but I feel like I've gotten. I feel like some people that are Hispanic or Latin have been like, "You're not Puerto Rican.
Right.
Like you're not fluent." And so that's when I get.
So I think you're getting it from two sides. Number one, your white guilt is saying, I don't present so Latin or Hispanic, so should I be able to claim that as it gets hipper? And also the other side of like, no, you're not Latin enough to claim it. Of Cuban descent, myself, I have a mixed racial background, but I present more European. So sometimes here, when I got to LA, if I start speaking Spanish, they weren't necessarily expecting that. But I'll tell you where that comes from. So people have gotten unnecessarily touchy about terms, okay? What Hispanic means is that it's related to Spain. So all of Spanish Latin America can identify as Hispanic. Now, a lot of indigenous people or people of Latin America, but that are mostly of indigenous descent, reject the Hispanic term because that's the colonial term, right? They were colonialized. They want to reject that. They use a term Latin from Latin America to say Latino, Latina.
Right.
But I think that's kind of silly. As someone that understands history, Latin comes from Rome. That's why, we call it Latin America because it's like Spain, but Spain was part of, Hispania was part of Rome. So what the colonialists, colonizers, like, we're just getting all entangled. It's very unnecessary. It's just people kind of trying to reject certain aspects of things because Latin America is actually a mixture of races.
Right.
And so instead of embracing it, like we're all just part of one big family, there's a lot of division. But that's the times. I think we're getting better at that. I think that you have every right to claim your multicultural heritage.
Well,
okay? But you definitely have Irish eyes.
Yes. These are some Irish eyes who have seen some pain. Yes.
Okay, let's get to pain. So your comedy, when I was watching a lot of the videos, you have a lot of great humor about a lot of sensitive subjects and just trauma and suffering in general. As someone who's been on kind of a spiritual path the past few years, I realize how important it is to face your traumas, how much they've informed and actually empowered me, even though at the beginning when I experienced it, it felt like destructive and all that stuff. So, and I think comedy at its purest dives into the dark. Tell me about how when you got into comedy, how that direction of a lot of your material went towards the dark, so to speak.
For sure. I mean, when I was younger too, like I think a lot of people are comics by nature, not by profession. It's kind of like an archetype as a human being. And when I was younger, I knew that I use comedy as a way to just get through things in life. Like, say for example, if my dad just beat me and I'm like, great, now I still have to do my homework. Like I was just using it to just make myself laugh after, getting your ass beat or whatever.
Wow, you really did grow up in a Latin household.
Yes. My dad that's quite the character.
Oh, wow.
And so I always naturally was like that, and I gravitated towards watching stand-up comedy because I was like, oh, this is medicine. This is like an OG antidepressant. And so when I got older and when I knew I was going to do stand-up, I looked up to people like Richard Pryor that like went through whatever they went through and were really authentic and honest about it, and were like, this is the one place where I can be free and not have any shame and not feel like people are judging me because I'm on stage. And it's weird because there's a bunch of people watching you at once, but I don't know, there's something freeing about it. And I was like, I know how important it was for me to watch people be honest about their pain and suffering. So I was like, the least I can do is be honest about mine and hope that someone else is like, yeah, girl, I went through that too. Like, hell yeah. So
do you think that someone that hasn't been through trauma in their life can hit the same marks?
What do you mean? Like, do you?
I like some of your jokes cut deep. Mm-hmm. Where someone that might not have gone through trauma might have a very silly kind of like set.
For sure.
Skim the surface and just kind of be joyful about things and
yeah.
not really hit a truth wrapped up in the humor and makes people a little uncomfortable, but that's...
Yeah. I mean, I look at comedy like it's a meal. So it's like not everybody's going to be a steak. But if you're the appetizer in your shrimp cocktail or whatever, it's like it's all necessary to make like the whole entire meal enjoyable. So I never look at it like it. Sometimes, like, say you have two dark comics in a row, you want the silly person to come on and be like, I'm a fat clown or whatever, and you're like, yeah, do that. Whatever.
You just got canceled by fat people and clowns. Way to go.
I was like, that is somebody's direct line that I'm saying from their set, so I'm not calling anybody fat. That's what they said. So it's nice. So I think it's important to have a little bit of everything because that's what your audience is. They're going to be a little bit of everything. So, if you only have edgy comedians or you only have dark comedians or people only talking about trauma, you're like, okay, like next, like let's get some light in here.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, you got some light stuff too as well.
For sure.
Yeah. So how'd you get into comedy?
I got into comedy because I always knew when I was younger, like as soon as I saw it, I was like, I was really young, like 9 or 10, and I was like, I'm going to do that. But then I got scared for many years. So I did like sketch and improv before because I was like, let me just get used to performing and then I'll do stand up. But I kind of kept putting it off. And then just everybody in my life was like, Monarey, do stand up. Monarey, you're supposed to do stand up. Monarey, do stand up. And I was like, all right, like I have to do this. But yeah, it's been on my radar since.
Wait, you just said your name a different way than I said it. Monarey,
yeah.
Almost like Manorey, like
Yeah, or yeah, people say like a monorail. I say
Not
like a
Monterey.
monarch. Yeah, like a monarchy, Monterey.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
You're very monarchical.
that's right.
You're a monarch.
I just need a kingdom and people to listen to me.
Well, you have people listening to you.
Well, I need more. I need a whole entire country.
So where do you feel right now? Because it seems that just watching your videos and it seems like you're in the part of your stand-up career where you're starting to pick up steam. Mm-hmm. You're kind of like, yeah, you're doing this for real now.
Yeah.
It's not hey, I'm just going to the open mics and I hope this kind of like rolls into something.
Yeah.
You're a professional comic now. Do you feel that way? Do you feel that?
If I'm being honest, no.
Okay.
I feel like whenever you're going through it, it never feels like it's right enough or it never feels like it's good enough. I feel like we're in life in general, no matter what you're doing, whether you're a hairstylist or a chef, I feel like people, and it's not imposter syndrome because I feel like a comic, but I don't feel like I'm at a point where I'm like, okay, I feel comfortable now. Like, I feel like this is all easily coming, or it still always feels like you're not doing enough, or you haven't quite broken through, or you're being slept on, or people don't appreciate you.
Well, let me just cut in here. You definitely are being slept on, but they're gonna wake up to you like very soon. Have you done Jam in the Van?
I have a long time ago with Steve Byrne, but I don't even know who books it anymore.
Yeah,
but
I haven't been there in a while.
Yeah, but it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, I know that my comedy, I kind of hate when people say that I'm dark. Not you, but I'm saying in general, people are like, ooh, you're dark, and I'm like, it's actually not, because I'm taking dark stuff and I'm making it funny, which is the definition of light, where it's like you're taking something and you're improving it and you're making it easier, and you're making people comfortable. So I'm like, I'm a light comic, but yeah, it's one of those things where like I understand that, like, especially now that comedy's so corporate, when I know people hear my set, they get nervous. They're like, oh no, like advertisers are gonna pull out, like she's talking about some edgy stuff, and I'm like, am I allowed to swear?
Yeah, you are. By the way, I want to reframe this. I don't think you're a dark comic. I think you're an edgy comic.
Yes. But it's like there are people who are edgy they're going out of their way to be edgy.
Yeah.
Like Anthony Jeselnik, which he's brilliant at it. But I'm never going out of my way to be edgy. I'm just like, this is my truth. And people who grew up in cul-de-sacs, maybe that seems edgy to you, but I'm like, I'm going to tell you what, most of the world probably relates more to me than they do to you.
Oh, absolutely.
You know?
And I love your delivery. You do come off in a very light way. You're like, the chick I'm hanging out with, you want to have a beer with you, or a cocktail, or a shrimp cocktail, I think you mentioned before. Yes. But I for me, okay, I read this thing, and this was written about comedy like 200 years ago. Some philosopher wrote that laughter is the radiation of serious emotion. And that comedy is ripping away serious emotion from a situation, and what's left is the irony, right? And the play. And a lot of real comedy almost comes from like gallows humor, like when people had to go to war, or they were about to be executed, and to pop that joke and to laugh. It's a radiation. You're basically taking all the seriousness of something that could be very negative and dark and traumatic, and taking that away, and to be able to laugh at that is so therapeutic. So that's why I really do resonate when I was listening to a lot of your comedy. I think that's helpful to society in a big way. And so anyone that gets uncomfortable with some of your jokes, I don't know, maybe that's their issue, really. For sure. But yeah,
it's one of those things, like, I don't get offended by it, because I'm like, well, then what a privileged life you must live, that if this is insulting to you, or if this is, offensive to you, you're like, well, this happened to me, and this happened to millions of other girls, or other people, or other children. So I'm like, sorry, sweetheart, like, then you got it good.
Well, maybe I think that's what it is. I think that you bring up a subject, and I think that these people that have an issue with you have an issue with the fact that you're so comfortable just saying what happened, and you're so comfortable making light of it. Yeah. And they think that you're dismissing it. Right. And it's not what's happening.
Yeah. Yeah. Anybody who's like been through what I've been through it's funny, because like people come up to me after shows and they're like, thank you. Yeah. Like, thank you for talking about this. Like, thank you. Like, I have like a joke about domestic abuse, and a girl who was in a, domestic abusive relationship. She had her jaw replaced, and she came up to me after a show one time. She was like, thank you so much. And it was funny, because a couple people before that were like, oh man, like, I don't know if you should be talking about that. And I'm like, well, the girl whose jaw was broke, like, she was cool with it. But you never had a man touch you, you're going to be like, oh, that's offensive. And it's like, well, maybe someone should break your jaw.
Oh my
and then
God.
You'll, and then you'll understand. Then you'll get the joke.
Monarey Martinez, ladies and gentlemen, I love it. I think that there's a bravery, also to you and to comics in general that I really appreciate. So going into, I was bringing up where you are in your career, and I find it very fascinating how you have to navigate through a comedy career. So you're obviously putting stuff out on IG, clips and stuff like that, and you're performing at the clubs. Are you going on tour yet? Are you touring the country? Or you said you
I go with like headliners, so like I don't have enough of a following. Some people do it where they have like probably a similar following to what I do, and then they'll just figure out ways to get clubs to give them one-nighters and whatnot. But I'm still at the point where I'm like, okay, I'm just going to open for somebody else. And then when I feel like I build enough of a following, then I would want to headline and just basically you're just trying to get a better door deal.
Yeah.
Because if you go out on the road now, they will give you a flat rate. And a lot of the times it's like, with your plane ticket and with your hotel, if they're paying for it, you're breaking even. And but yeah, I do want to go. I'm doing like a lot of like festivals this year, so I'm hoping that eventually I will like get more of a following, and then I can go on my own, because it's like I'm definitely ready to headline my own. It's just getting the following behind
the material is there for sure, and the delivery is there for sure. Believe, okay?
Yes.
You know the thing about believing is that sometimes you believe, and it doesn't show up. And you're like, I don't want to do that to myself. So I'm just gonna not believe. I'm gonna keep working hard,
For sure.
but I'm not gonna put my heart into it so that it's the disappointment. But you know what? You got to keep putting your whole heart and belief into it. You're definitely in the trajectory.
Thank you.
Now it's
I
about picking up
appreciate
the
you.
speed. I think
Yeah.
that's the notion, right? That's
For
what you got
sure.
to work on.
Yeah, I mean, I think so much of Hollywood has completely changed, like with social media, for the good and for the bad. So it's like, for the good is that there's no more like gatekeepers. Like anybody can kind of do anything. You can just do things online. But the bad is that I'm probably part of the last generation that came up through the system of like going to open mics, getting bar shows, then getting club shows, then featuring on the road and going through that trajectory. And because now there's people who've been doing comedy for less years, but they have more followers, not from stand-up, from being No, I'm kidding. And then they get these dates, and you're like, wait a minute, I was next in line.
TikTok did a lot for people who weren't great comics, but they could make these silly videos and put it out every single day because they're narcissists and they want everyone to see them every morning.
For sure.
And then they get all of a sudden, 100,000 followers, most of which are Chinese bots. But that's neither here nor there.
But bless their souls, I always say.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's room for everybody, and at the end of the day, you got to be able to be on stage for 45 minutes and make it memorable and make it good. And I know that's like where my talent lies versus like being online or whatever. Yeah. So it's like everybody's got their thing, and so I'm very comfortable with being like, I'm gonna do the process properly. I'm not gonna take shortcuts, because if I would already be married to a rich dude by now. If I was gonna do a shortcut, I'd be like 25, like let's go 65, give me your money. Like I would have done that, but for whatever reason, I have a soul. And I can't. Yeah. So.
I realize where your comedy comes from. I don't think that they come out as jokes at first.
Yeah.
I think that they become jokes when you put the punctuation, when you put the period at the end, and you're like, oh, I meant that as a joke.
Yeah. Just being honest, but it's jokes.
That's it. That's what it is. I think I just figured out the dynamics of your humor. At the end, they're serious comments.
Yeah.
And then you laugh at the end. You're from Buffalo. Mm-hmm. Good people in Buffalo.
Yeah, because it's winter 6 months out of the year, so you have to be.
Wow.
Yeah, people are very helpful there. Everybody's really down to earth. Everyone's the Bills lose. Not recently, but for years.
Well, there was that. I don't know if you're old enough to remember. They went to 4 Super Bowls in a row and lost 4 Super Bowls in a row.
Oh, I know. I watched grown men cry, and I was like, why is football so sad? But what's nice is it's like there's not a lot else going on up there, so it's like people really care about the Bills, and everybody's
When you mean the bills, you mean the electric bill, the gas bill.
Oh yes, all of everybody's bills are paid on time. That's one thing about Buffalo, is like we just all pay our bills, even though we're alcoholics. But yeah, it's a very humble, down to earth, blue collar place, and I'm from like the actual city. Like I was born on the east side of Buffalo and then lived in the south side.
Did you start comedy in Buffalo?
No, I started in LA. Yeah.
What brought you to LA?
Trauma and just wanting to get away from my family, and so I was like, I have zero reason to stay here, so I packed up my car as a teenager. It broke down in the middle of the country, and I hopped on a Greyhound and just.
And you just left the car behind?
Oh yeah, I got my license suspended.
What kind of car was it?
It was a Nissan Altima, but it was like the car stalled like on my way. Like when we like printed, this is like MapQuest. This is like in my 30s.
When you printed out
MapQuest, me and my friend, she was a singer. She didn't have that good of a voice, but I was like, we're going to LA, right? And I was like, I just need a teammate. And she was like, yeah, we're doing it. And I worked overnight at a gas station. I didn't even go to bed that night. And we're like, okay, we're driving to LA, and my car stalled, and we're like, I was like, our car, it's just nerves. Like, it's just nerves. And it's like, your car doesn't have nerves, ma'am. And we just hopped, and then like within 3 hours, the car just was only going either 30 miles per hour or 90 miles per hour. And we were like, I think it's time to call somebody. And she's like, it's fine. My brother's a mechanic. He's not. He installed radios at Pep Boys.
Oh my God.
And then we were like, we each only had like $300 to our name, and we're like, we're just gonna do it. Her dad, who like just got out of jail for some like white crime, not like a good criminal, and we were like, we're just gonna move in with your dad. You haven't seen him for years. Like
So he was here in LA.
He just moved to Orange County.
So the two of you had a place to stay. You just had to get here.
We just had to get here. Yeah. And I never met her dad. She didn't really know her dad that well either. But we're like, it doesn't matter. We're going to California. And we're both teenagers. And so we only could bring 2 bags on the bus. And they weren't letting us on the bus because you can't bring garbage bags on a Greyhound. And you're like, that's your demographic.
Oh my gosh.
And so they finally let us on the bus. And then we had to use the remaining money we had to buy buses at the bus stop. There's like these layovers, which everybody's in charge of like getting their stuff off the bus to get onto another bus, and there's no organized system. So there's like a bunch of buses drop off at the layover, but there only one bus comes for the next leg, and everybody just has to fight for their spot.
Oh God.
We got the first time every time, because I was like, we will elbow children. Like, we're getting on this next leg. And we did it. 6 days.
Before you got to that last part, I'm thinking, my God, you've been through so much. You're so sweet. You're such a beautiful woman. I want to like protect you.
Yeah.
But you can take care of yourself.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm scrappy. So we did it, and you don't stop. Like, there's no hotels. Like, you're just on a bus, and everybody on the Greyhound, and like, my family.
Is there a bathroom on the bus?
There's a bathroom. Yeah, there's a bathroom, but it's like you're stopping at gas stations for food, and it was pretty intense. But I'm the type of person where I'm just like, it's an adventure. And I should have we were only 3 hours away from Buffalo in my car, but I'm like, we should have went home. Like, we should have had more money. There should have been a plan. But I was like, oh, we'll write about it in a book later.
You are going to write about it in a book later.
Yeah, I am right now. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
Going back to how processing pain and trauma, obviously you have comedy. Do you consider yourself a spiritual person?
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I did the whole, I tried Buddhism, I tried Hinduism, I tried self-realization classes, I did witchcraft.
Have you done ayahuasca?
No, but I've done combo, I've done bufo, I've done DMT, I've done acid, I've done shrooms. I've done all the things, and now I'm just like, I'm just gonna do God. I'm just gonna go back to God.
Good for you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm kind of on the same trip. I did I did a bunch of ayahuascas, like 15 of them. My friend actually owns a mushroom company, which is basically functioning out in the open. It's like semi-legal now, these mushrooms.
Yeah.
And so I now use mushrooms for like little personal journeys, but I don't feel the need to do ayahuasca anymore. Mm-hmm. It's all about integration, right? If you're just doing it, then you're not. What are you doing? You gotta now do the work.
Right.
But it's
like, what are you doing that you keep needing to do ayahuasca?
You gotta keep going back.
You're not doing something right.
So funny you bring up witchcraft. I wanted to do like a cleansing. I felt like there were entities attached to me and all this stuff. And she came over and we talking about how much ayahuasca I've done. She goes, you don't need to keep going back there. She's done it. She's like, it's fine that you did it.
Wait, who is this person?
This is this witch that she was gonna do a cleansing on me.
Yes.
And she was really funny.
Olympia?
Olympia song and all that stuff. But she was actually like Swedish or something.
Yeah.
So, and she made this awesome comment. She's like, when you go into these psychedelic realms, state of minds, you're going into the realm of the dead. It's the spirit realm that you're getting a taste of.
Right.
It's good that you know it's there, and it's worth you experiencing it. But the work happens here. You're living a life in the 3-dimensional reality in the physical realm, and so you got to integrate that. So I took that to heart, and while I still have my my journeys, I mitigate them, and it's here and there, and I try to do it with intention.
Yeah, very similar for me too. I mean, I first started doing it just for healing and whatever, and then I realized, like, after a certain point, I was like, where's the new information? Like, where's the new stuff?
Right.
And it was like, no, bitch, like you can't just keep coming here when you're high on drugs and thinking God's gonna be like, okay, here's the next step.
Right.
Like he's not gonna have you keep being a fucking drug addict to get answers.
Yeah.
I wasn't a drug addict, but you know what I'm saying. So yeah, but I do think that I mean, I look at life where it's like everybody's trying to like, you're trying to fill that hole in your heart. Like you're trying to like get it to where you feel peace. But funny enough, like the ultimate peace is death. So you're like, at some point you do have to realize that you do live in the 3-dimensional world, and it's like, yeah, we're all one up there, but here we're not. This is Earth, and we're individuals, and the ego does serve us, and you can experience ego deaths, but it's like you can't be up there all the time. Like you're gonna when you die, but you got to be down here.
I'm getting goosebumps.
Yes. Yeah.
I love because at this point, since I almost know everything and I'm so informed, when hearing something that I haven't heard before that makes total sense is becoming rarer, because I've heard so much and I've learned so much in a good way.
For sure.
That right there, what you just threw at me, that, because, ego death, you gotta have an ego death. It's like, because I was having those feelings before. It's like, yeah, but I think it's more about harnessing my ego, not letting it control me. But like the ego death, it's you don't live in an ego death. You have to be awake. You have to be, in tune and with yourself, and not just the ether. And just like, wow, you blew my mind right now.
Yeah, and we're gonna have time for all that. I think it's great to experience it, but then you just can't keep like chasing that, because then you're like, you got to do the dishes. Your car needs to be cleaned. Like, you know what I mean?
You have to
Your
keep a
kids need to be
schedule.
fed. Like, there's things you got to do down here.
Okay, so what do you think of it? Like, a lot of my friends are like the spiritual community. They're all in Burning Man right now. Have you ever done Burning Man?
No, but I do want to, for sure.
You have to do it at least once.
Yes.
It is an ayahuasca experience because it's hard.
For sure.
Even if you have an RV and all that stuff, it's hard. And that's why I've done it 3 times. Just like, if I find a partner who wants to go experience it, I would take her. But I don't need to do it anymore. I don't need to be walking around by myself, tripping on acid, or I'm wondering why the hell I'm even here. But it is an experience. But my friends are that. But they're practical that. Like they have jobs. But then we also have like the hippies around us, and they're just manifesting, and one of my friends, my friend Isabel Amico, big influence in my life. She's also part of that, but she scoffs at the hippies. And she says, God doesn't care about your manifesting. God cares about your soul. Manifesting, who cares about your manifesting? The devil.
Yeah. I mean, I totally get I used to do it too, where it's like, I have my vision board and I manifest and I do my tarot cards and would do all that. But I just remember like one time I was like, there's no rich witches. Like, I don't know any just like rich woman who's like, I'm a witch. And I mean, obviously the internet will be like, oh, all those celebrities, idiot. And I'm like, okay, we're not even gonna address that. But it's one of those things where I was like, and then when I was like, because I meditate and I pray, and one time when I was meditating, I just heard, it's not like an audible voice, it's more like, it feels like it's like telepathic, but I'm gonna call it God. But and God was just like, just come to me, you dumb bitch. Like you don't gotta do all, like you could just go right to me. And I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't even think about that. He's like, did you think that I was gonna bless you or give you everything you want so that when you do get it, you could go and tell everybody it was tarot cards that got you here? Or am I gonna have you fail over and over and suffer until you come back to me, and then I'll help you out and I'll give you the glory? And I was like, got it.
Okay, so aside from comedy, should we also be thinking about you as some sort of like guru leader?
No. I mean, my ego is like, yes, absolutely. But no, I feel like that's like the death of comedy is like, as soon as you start putting yourself in a position of like, people need to listen to me, or like, I have the answers. I'm like, I have no answers. I have wisdom from failure and a lot of wisdom from suffering. But as of now, I'm not successful, so I can't really say I have the answers.
Okay, let me tell you something. You are successful. Okay,
well,
for one thing, I begged you to be on the Checkitow podcast. Okay, no, you are. You're on your way to something. I think that people that listen to you are affected. Most of them in a good way, and a few of them are a bunch of ninny nannies who want to be offended. And you need those people in your audience too.
For sure.
In fact, a lot of your success is going to be built on the fact that some people are rubbed the wrong way with the truth that you speak. And I enjoyed having you on the podcast. Is there anything that you want to throw out there before we wrap up?
No, I had a great time. Thank you for having me. And I have not heard Ninny Nanny in a long time, and I'm going to start using that.
This was a deeper conversation than you probably thought we were going to have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't know you were spiritual. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah.
I think you just scanned my Instagram and go, okay, whatever. Okay.
No, I looked at it. And I remember the sign, and because lime green or whatever this green is my favorite color, and so I was like, oh, okay, I like the backdrop.
Oh my God, that's how. Well, but it's different colors because we changed the color.
I feel like I saw a pink.
Yeah, no, it comes in different colors. But before you came, not knowing this, I said let's change it to green.
Yes.
Right, guys?
Everybody's like, no,
yeah?
He doesn't even work here. Yeah. They're like, he said something about this stupid bitch is coming on next, and she doesn't have tits or something.
No. By the way, you're a beautiful woman. If I can throw that out. Now that I've appreciated you for all the serious things and all your real talent, I didn't want to lead with, oh, you're a beautiful woman, because that's obnoxious.
Yeah.
At the end, I've earned the right now to say, hey, you're a beautiful woman. Thank you for coming. I want to say your name correctly. Monarey.
Yes.
Monarey Elaine Martinez.
That's right. Thank you.
You've been on Checkitow.